What if I told you the reason your blood pressure won't come down has nothing to do with salt? Not your salt shaker, not your diet plan, not even your medication. What if the real problem is something you're doing every single day? Something that feels healthy, responsible, even recommended, and it's silently keeping your blood pressure elevated 24 hours a day? I'm going to show you something most people, and even most doctors, never connect. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. For decades, we told patients one simple thing: cut the salt, lower the pressure. Clean, logical, easy to explain in a 10-minute appointment. And I believed it. I prescribed it. I repeated it thousands of times throughout my career. It made sense. Sodium increases fluid retention. More fluid increases pressure, and pressure damages arteries. That model is not wrong, but over time, something didn't sit right with me. Not in theory, but in reality. Because I wasn't just looking at charts anymore. I was looking directly at human arteries on the operating table. I was seeing the actual damage, the stiffness, the narrowing, the patterns that kept repeating in patients who had done everything right. And that's when the question changed for me. I stopped asking, how much salt did this person eat? And started asking, what else is going on here that we're not talking about? Because clearly, something was missing. I remember a patient from about 12 years ago, a 71-year-old retired school teacher. He didn't smoke. He didn't drink. He walked 4 miles every morning without fail. His diet was clean: salads, fish, whole grains. He took his medication exactly as prescribed. If you looked at his lifestyle on paper, you'd say this man is doing everything right, and yet his blood pressure had been stubbornly high for over a decade. 145, sometimes 150 even on a good day. His cardiologist kept adjusting medications, increasing doses, trying combinations. The numbers barely moved. And then one day, I opened his chest. And what I saw didn't match the story. His arteries were stiff, narrowed, inflamed. The kind of damage I would expect from someone who had lived very differently. And I remember standing there thinking, this doesn't make sense. This man followed every rule we gave him. So why does his body look like this? That question stayed with me. It didn't go away. And over time, the answer I found completely changed how I understand blood pressure. The salt story is real, but it's only half the picture, and the half we've been quietly ignoring for decades. That's the part that continues to damage your arteries while you believe you're doing everything right. Because here's what the research has been showing, quietly, consistently, for over 20 years. For many people, especially those over 60, reducing salt alone lowers blood pressure by only a few points. 4, maybe 5 on average. That's not insignificant, but it's rarely enough to solve the problem. So the real question becomes, what is the other force keeping that pressure elevated? What is working against you every single day, multiple times a day? The answer lies in something your body produces naturally, a hormone you've heard of, but probably never connected to blood pressure in this way: insulin. Every time you eat anything, your body releases insulin. Its primary job is simple: move sugar from your bloodstream into your cells. That's normal. That's healthy. But insulin doesn't stop there. It has another effect, one that most people are never told about. Insulin sends a direct signal to your kidneys, and that signal says, hold on to sodium, not release it, not flush it out. Keep it. Now think about that for a moment. If sodium stays in your bloodstream, your body holds more fluid. More fluid means more pressure. So if your insulin is elevated throughout the day, your body is constantly being told to retain sodium, regardless of how much salt you're actually eating. This changes everything. Because now we're not just talking about salt intake. We're talking about how your body handles salt internally. And here's where it becomes even more important after 60. As we age, our cells become less responsive to insulin. This is called insulin resistance. Your pancreas compensates by producing more insulin to get the same job done. So even if your diet is healthy, your insulin levels may be elevated more often than you realize. And that elevated insulin doesn't just affect blood sugar. It affects your blood pressure in 3 powerful ways at the same time. First, it tells your kidneys to retain sodium. Second, it activates your nervous system, keeping your body in a low-level fight-or-flight state. And third, it reduces nitric oxide, a molecule that helps your blood vessels relax. So now you have more fluid, tighter vessels, and a system that's slightly on edge all the time. And all of that pushes your blood pressure up, independently of salt. Now here's the part that surprises most people, especially those who are trying to be healthy. The issue often isn't what you're eating, it's how often you're eating. Because every time you eat, your insulin rises, and it takes about 2 to 3 hours to return to baseline. So if you're eating every few hours, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, you're keeping your insulin elevated all day long. It never fully drops, which means your kidneys never get the signal to release sodium. Your vessels never fully relax. Your system never resets. This pattern, what we call grazing, may be one of the biggest hidden drivers of stubborn high blood pressure in people over 60. I've seen this over and over again. Patients who eat perfectly healthy foods, but eat too frequently, and their body never gets a break. No reset window, no recovery period. And over time, that constant low-level pressure becomes the new normal. Add to that liquid calories, juice, smoothies, even healthy drinks, and the effect becomes even stronger. Because liquids are absorbed faster, they spike insulin more quickly, and most people consume them between meals, stacking one insulin spike on top of another. Before you know it, your body has been in a high insulin state from morning until night. And then there's timing, something almost nobody considers. Your blood pressure is supposed to drop at night. It's called nocturnal dipping. It's one of your body's most important protective mechanisms. But if you eat late, especially within a couple of hours before bed, you disrupt that process. Insulin rises when it should be falling. Sodium is retained when it should be released. Your nervous system stays slightly activated when it should be resting. And instead of your blood pressure dropping overnight, it stays elevated. That means your arteries are under stress all night long, while you think your body is recovering. After decades in the operating room, I can tell you this with complete honesty. The damage from long-term high blood pressure is very real. I've seen arteries that have lost their flexibility entirely. I've seen hearts that have thickened from years of pushing against resistance. And I've seen patients who manage their numbers with medication, but never address the underlying metabolic issue driving the problem in the first place. This is not about replacing your medication. It's about understanding the full picture. Because your body already has the ability to regulate blood pressure. Your kidneys can release sodium. Your vessels can relax. Your system can reset. But it needs the right conditions. And one of the most important conditions is giving your body time. Time between meals, time without constant insulin stimulation. When you create that time, something remarkable happens. Insulin drops. Your kidneys begin to release retained sodium. Your vessels begin to relax. Your nervous system calms down, and your blood pressure can finally come down in a meaningful way. I've seen patients reduce their readings significantly, sometimes by 15 to 20 points, just by changing meal timing. Not new medication, not extreme diets, just giving their body the window it needed to function properly. So here's where you start. Space your meals. Aim for 4 to 5 hours between eating. No snacks, no caloric drinks in between. Finish your last meal at least 3 hours before bed. Protect your nighttime recovery. And be mindful of liquid calories. Move them into meals instead of between them. These are small changes, but they create powerful shifts inside your body. And I want to leave you with one simple question. When you look at your daily routine, your meals, your snacks, your timing, where do you see this pattern in your own life? Because awareness is the first step. And once you see it, you have the power to change it.